I am proud of my country's heritage. We're living on freedom soil. Brave men have gone before me here, unafraid to pray and toil.
So we're looking at the Philadelphia Conference and what would become our Constitutional Convention. And we're going to go through, we're taking our time a little bit. I want to read you some things from Madison's notes. There were a few people who talked about different things when they were trying to get elected over another fella, brought up things that a guy might have said or might not have said. Not much else out there. Madison had an ego. He wasn't God. And he had an agenda. But this is the best we've got, and they're pretty good, I think. My opinion is that Madison's notes are really quite good in terms of what's available and what we can look at and see in terms of what happened at this conference. And the notes all have numbers associated with them, and I'll read that number as I go through these. It helps you look up that particular note. Some of them are 1700 series numbers. You don't want to get that confused with dates. And on Friday, May the 25th, note 4, Mr. Robert Morris informed the members assembled that by the instructions and on behalf of the disputation from Pennsylvania, he proposed George Washington Esquire, late Commander-in-Chief, for the President of the Convention. Mr. Rutledge seconded the motion, expressing his confidence that the choice would be unanimous, and observing that the presence of General Washington forbade any observations on the occasion which might otherwise be proper. We could talk about how good George Washington was, but he's here, won't embarrass him. On the same date, on the reading of the credentials of the deputies, it is noted that those from Delaware were prohibited from changing the articles in the Confederation, establishing an equality in votes among the states. There's 13 colonies. Delaware will not be making changes, so they won't be voting on this stuff, which means you could have a tie vote. Delaware would send letters back and then would send delegates back and forth and get permission to be involved and do parts of this thing, change where they were able to work. But they basically did their job as representing or delegates from the state and making sure they had the right permissions. On Monday, May 28th, note 16, Mr. King objected to one of the rules in the report authorizing any member to call for the yeas and nays and have them entered into the minutes. He urged that as the acts of the convention were not to bind the constituents, it was unnecessary to exhibit this evidence of the votes, and improper, as changes of opinion would be frequent in the course of the business, and would fill the minutes with contradictions. Colonel Mason, note 16, seconded the objection, added that such a record in the opinion of the members would be an obstacle to a change of them on conviction, and in case of it being hereafter promulgated, must furnish handles to the adversaries of the result of the meeting. In other words, when we get this thing done, those who are against us will use that changing back and forth politically to attack us. On note 86, Wednesday, May 30th, Mr. Madison observed that whatever reason might have existed for the equality of suffrage, the right to vote, when the Union was a federal one, among sovereign states, it must cease when a national government should be put in place. And this was what Mr. Madison wanted. He wanted a national government. Others did. Others wanted a federal government. Others wanted to have certain amounts of different kinds of control and power. They all, for the most part, fell into the aristocratic vein. We'll go on with this and see more of what happened at this convention, going in a little bit of detail and seeing some points that I think are important.
Yes, our God still bears his mighty arm when men to him are loyal.
Hi, my name's Rod McBain. Please, if you get time, go to our website. That's www.carusoforgod, Kerusso, the number 4 and God.org, carusoforgod.org. Please subscribe to our channel. It helps us. Google likes it, and it helps us move forward. And if you would, please take a look at the coffee cups and t-shirts. Buy some of those. We'll try to keep them useful. And that helps us with the utilities and the groceries. Please take a look at our sponsors, see what they're up to. And I thank you for listening to what we're presenting. And if you have comments, please add them below.